Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to Crossover Sports Talk and Events. I'd really like to appreciate you guys. I know it's been some time now. I really deeply apologize for the last few weeks or the month or so. Life's been super busy. Everything's been going on. You know what's happening, but we are back now, and we will be back better than ever. Going to be more posts, along with the NBA, the NFL, and then also with the special guest that I have here, a good friend of mine, Mr. Stanley Garcia, and he goes by Edwin. People call him Edwin. He is a former amateur baseball second baseman. He's also a very avid Dodger and Angels fan. He's a Formula One enthusiast, which we will get into about later today. That's coming up in Las Vegas. And he's also a 4-time marathon finisher and endurance runner. Give it up for him. And also, he is currently training for a 50K 31 and a half mile ultra marathon. So that's pretty impressive. Shout out to Edwin over here. Edwin, please introduce yourself, man. Glad to have you on. I really appreciate it, and get the ball rolling, man.
Yeah, I think you got that pretty nailed down. I don't know if you're introducing the right guy. You're making me better than what I actually am. But yeah, no, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be on the show. I've been following you for a while, so I think there's a lot to talk about. I think Formula One being in Las Vegas this weekend is probably going to be our theme of the conversation. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it up to you, bro.
Yeah, absolutely, my man. I really appreciate it, man. No, I really am thankful to have you on. I'm really happy. You've been following my content, you've been following my videos, and I really am happy that you wanted to come on when I asked you. There's a lot to talk about, a lot to mention about what's going on, man. It's pretty big. I know about Formula One, especially with, our favorite cars. There's McLaren, you've got AMG, you got Red Bull, there's Ferrari, there's many more of the things that we can get into, especially our racers, along with Lando Norris, right? Max Verstappen, right? And Lewis Hamilton, we're talking about. It's going to be pretty big because I did have some family members that did went out to there a couple years ago in 23, did mention they did see a lot of celebrities out there and quite some people there that they met, and especially got to visit the Formula One experience. So it's quite something over there. I know it's kind of like frisky and cold out there, but pretty excited for something that big that's going to be happening over there. I think it should be more tailored around, more introduced. But yeah, tell me about your Formula One interest. What got you interested in it, and your enthusiasm towards it?
Oh, happy to help. Dude, this all started. It's funny. Look, I'm proud of graduated college, but during my time in college, I was so bored that I didn't really know what I was doing, right? And so I had these homework assignments, and the job that I was working at the time was extremely slow on Sundays, and any Formula One enthusiast knows that all the races are on Sundays. And so when I would report to my job 6, 7, to 8 o'clock in the morning, nothing was happening. Everybody's at home. I'm doing my college homework. I filled the gap with those Formula One races, and it was something that um, has stuck with me up until now, and it's made me pretty much I'm gonna say addicted to the sport. I like watching Formula One not only for the races but for the drivers, also for the cars. It's extremely different than any other motorsport. You take IndyCar, you take WEC, you take all those other series, and Formula One is just this combination clash of just pure racecraft. I mean, you can have a really good driver in a really good car. That doesn't guarantee that they're actually going to win. So I don't know. There's a lot I can talk to you about. I'm happy that you guys are going to Las Vegas pretty soon. Las Vegas is we are at the forefront of Formula One. Number one, it's popping off worldwide, but also Formula One. We are at a point in the season when we're seeing Max Verstappen, a 4-time reigning world championship, finally getting put in his place by somebody like Lando Norris. And I think
McLaren, baby.
the year we're gonna see Max Verstappen go back to the number 33. And I think there's a lot of people that are happy about it. Look, I wasn't a Max Verstappen fan when I first started, but he's won me over a little. But I am excited to see either Lando Norris or Oscar Piastri be the new champions.
Yeah, everyone's been talking about that. Really appreciate that. Yeah, especially being there and experiencing something like that. But good explanation. Very love your upbringing, about how it happened, about your school, and bringing about what got you into driving and the vehicles that goes around it and everything, and the drivers. Everyone's been talking about Lando Norris, like about his bringing, like his coming, his rise to, especially driving McLaren and, getting towards there now, probably possibly going to take down, Max Verstappen on Saturday, this weekend, hopefully, what goes on. It's going to be really interesting to see. I'm really excited. And it's especially to see how those two are going to go at it. And we cannot sleep on Lewis Hamilton. I know he's been going on for some time now. He's won some. He's got a lot, in his history. But my God, man, we cannot sleep on Ferrari, and especially what they provide and what they bring, to the table. But tell me about, what do you think? What are you expecting out of him in AMG, the AMG team,
Look,
Mercedes,
look.
Lewis Hamilton?
I'm wearing a Mercedes shirt right now. When I started Formula One, I was a Lewis Hamilton fan. Obviously, he's moved over to Ferrari. I think he's done a lot of good things for them, but I simply don't think that they have the car. I think that they're going to try, they're going to battle, but I think Mercedes in these conditions, if they stay the way they are, I think Mercedes is going to be fighting for a podium. And you're talking about, let's not sleep on Lewis Hamilton. Let's not sleep on Oscar Piastri. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
have a
His co-pilot, with McLaren.
we have Lando Norris, who's in that P1 position right now for the World Championship. But if we really look at it, that is not a comfortable lead that he has. And Oscar Piastri, the entire season, he never had a comfortable lead. So with 2 races to go, we have Qatar and Abu Dhabi. We're gonna see a real fight, and I'm pretty sure that Oscar Piastri, driven to the point of excellence, driven in a proper manner, will be the one person that can take over the championship. And I'm not saying that I'm vouching for Oscar Piastri, but I could see it. At the beginning of the year, Lando Norris, he lacked the mental capacity to actually take the championship. At the beginning of the year, Lando Norris simply wasn't producing. They both have equal cars. They both have the same race strategies. Lando Norris wasn't able to produce. There's a reason why Oscar Piastri led the first 15, 16, 17, 18 races of the season. He has the raw racecraft, and I think he has the raw talent to actually take the championship. He hasn't been able to perform these last couple races. That's okay. Everybody has their own slumps, but I think, you're talking about, let's not sleep on Lewis Hamilton. Let's not sleep on Oscar Piastri. I think he's going to be the one person who's going to be able to take the championship away from Lando Norris and provide a good upset. So I'm not vouching for that, but I think it's something that we can't rule out.
I agree. I honestly agree with you. The thing is with Oscar, what advantage I think he does have is that he's really younger. He's maybe a little less experienced, but he's got that clotheslining signals, with the big potential that he has. I really think it becomes very fascinating of him, because people talked about Lando, about his time, his consistency with his performance and all that is, but his experience and his expectations, I think, were kind of tempered, where we're not expecting it, but he should be possibly the favorite going into this one. But I see where you're coming at, where Oscar may have the advantage to probably get over him with that. So that's going to be something quite to look at, bro. Before we continue, I'd like to mention a few sponsors before we get back into more Formula One. I'd like to mention a sponsor, Trailer Pros, expert trailer repair and custom metal fabrication. Reliable mobile, built to last. You can reach them at 916-812-2513. Emails right there at trailerpros@gmail.com. And also like to mention for AJ and Michelle John for sale, real estate and loans. You can reach them out at 916-549-2425. License number right below. Broker license right there as well. They'll be in the description box below. Email right there. You can reach out to, Dinesh.john@xprealty.com. They're also sponsored by Crossover Sports Talk. One more before we get going. I'd like to mention is John Carlo and Zena Carmona. They're licensed financial professionals. They like helping individuals and families build generational wealth through their business. They eliminate debt and protect their future through global financial impact. And all the hashtags like you see below, you'd like to contact them. Their phone number, emails right here. And you can reach out to them. They can help you with any of their need that they can always do. What do you also think? How do you think Verstappen, Max Verstappen, especially being for Red Bull, right? What do you think of his experience overcoming the younger drivers. What do you think about him? Compared because he's been doing it for some
So
for some time.
I'll point this to you again right now. I'm wearing a Mercedes shirt. I'm a big George Russell.
AMG older, yeah.
Here's the thing. When I first started Formula One, Max Verstappen was winning all the races. I respect Max Verstappen. I now am at a point where I understand how goated that guy is. I know Max Verstappen. If there's anybody that can win this championship, this guy, not only is he a good mentor to the younger drivers, but he's somebody that's given people like Fernando Alonso, who drives an Aston Martin, and Carlos Sainz for Williams. He's given the older generation a run for their money. So, I mean, if the question is whether or not Max Verstappen can win the championship, whether or not Max Verstappen is somebody that's influential for the younger drivers, 100%.
Awesome. Man, I really do think that, especially with the history that he's won so far, especially from races that I've seen, I wasn't really big of into this much of Formula until recent in the past years or so. I would say the 5-6 years, especially when COVID started. I looked more into it. I was watching YouTube stuff. I wouldn't really talk about it much with people about it, but I was really into it. I was just like, man, the jobs these people do. And then I looked more into the racers, the drivers, and more into AMG, McLaren, Red Bull, Ferrari, all of that. Just especially their luxury, their sport vehicles, and all that. Especially with I love having an AMG, being a part of it. George Russell, man, what do you think of George Russell and him leading the pack for Mercedes? He did win in Vegas last year. He did win. He knows how to do well over here, especially the conditions that's going to be this weekend. It's going to be quite cold. People were expecting some rain. So, they're saying his car might be the strongest this year, but his experience counts here. Don't always matter about the car. It matters about the driver too.
Look, George Russell, he's got Kimi Antonelli to watch out for, okay? Kimi Antonelli went P2 in Brazil for this last race. So I think George Russell, if anybody can win the championship, obviously George Russell. He's shown it in the past. But I do not know if George Russell is the guy for Mercedes for the future. Like the guy, I'm a big Mercedes fan, but he's on a 1+1 year contract right now. So George Russell, if he's not performing and Kimi Antonelli takes him over, I think we're going to be looking at another person driving for Mercedes. So I like George Russell. Very, very, very good guy. But I'm hoping that he's actually going to be able to cross that finish line, at least on the podium, because he's got something to prove at this point. He's got to make sure that a young, I think Kimi Antonelli, he's now 19 years old. You got a young 19-year-old driver.
Kimi is young, man. Yeah, but he's up and man, he's coming in hard. Especially with George Russell, his experience has been there. But I mean, these guys even Kimi Antonelli, Lando Norris, and Oscar Piastri, all of them, man, they're coming in hot, man. So they got to be ready. They got to be ready to go. They got to get their mind straight. They got to be focused. And this is the thing about when it comes to racing and all that. It's all you got to put it all on the line over there. And what do you think? Moving on from George Russell, what do you think of Charles Leclerc? What do you think of him a part of Ferrari? We know Lewis Hamilton's there. They did finish 5th, in their standings with 214 points. What do you think? While Ferrari, they may be, they're thinking they're underperforming, but they're motivated to shine on a place like Las Vegas, right? That's a place, one of the places in America, in Vegas. We're talking all these places and these destinations. What do you think of Charles Leclerc?
So last I heard, Ferrari already started developing their 2026 car. So when I think about Charles Leclerc, all I think about is heartbreak. I've thought about heartbreak for Charles Leclerc this year. I thought about it last year. I've thought about it every single year that he's been with Ferrari. Leclerc is a phenomenal driver. He is the one guy, given the right car in the good conditions that it can drive in. Good strategies. Leclerc is a world champion. Leclerc has had a lot of opportunities to clinch the world championship, but not because of him. It's because of Ferrari. They have terrible race strategies. Leclerc, I understand. He's the man for Monza. He's the man for Italy. He's the guy from Monaco. He is the guy that Ferrari is counting on, not only for their branding, but also to win races. But Ferrari can't produce a good car. They can't produce good strategies. And so Leclerc, I like the guy, good experience. Second in my opinion, to Max Verstappen. But Leclerc, I really hope you switch teams, man. I mean, we're looking at Aston Martin. Maybe go to Aston Martin. We're looking at Mercedes. If George Russell, like we said earlier, if George Russell doesn't pan out with Mercedes, again, he's on a 1+1 year deal. If he
Yeah,
can't,
he is.
maybe Charles Leclerc goes over to Mercedes, and Leclerc, I promise you, would have good success there. I mean, we saw what Lewis Hamilton did back in the mid 2010s. The guy
Yes.
won 5 world championships just with Mercedes. It can be done. And Leclerc's experience going into Mercedes, into a team that is properly built, that produces cars that are able to actually finish on the podium, going to a team that has good race strategy and is not going to put them on inters when there's no rain. That's what Leclerc needs to focus on. And I'm not a special agent. Who the hell am I to talk about?
Nah, you're good, man. You're good, man. We got a question here from Anis Mansouri. How do you think Angel Newey will do with Aston Martin? He's got a good question. What do you think?
Look, Adrian Newey is good. Obviously, he has his good track record and all that stuff. But I think Aston Martin, I mean, you have people like Lance Stroll's father. He's throwing so much money at Aston Martin that he just wants something to win. And I think Adrian Newey is going to be able to have to talk to Lance Stroll, talk to Fernando Alonso, and let them know you're not going to have a championship world this year. You're not going to have a championship winning car next year. You're not going to have one in 2028. You're going to have to wait at least 5 years. And Fernando Alonso, obviously, with all these articles, he's made peace with that. I think he's saying that if the 2026 car is good, that he's going to retire at the end of the season. So that's very commendable for him. But I think Adrian Newey, with the stuff that he's bringing over Red Bull, is going to do wonders for Aston Martin. But he has to get it through everybody's head. They are not world champions this year. They're not world champions next year. And even with the new regulations coming out, they will not be world champions within 3 years. I think everybody understands that. But if they're able to stomach that and just work through the pain, it's good. Aston Martin, I promise you, at least within a decade, they're going to be world champions. Maybe Lance Stroll. There's a lot of Lance Stroll hate out there, but it'll happen. I promise.
It's a very good, very well articulated answer, Edwin. Man, this is what I'm talking about. But yeah, great question, Denise. I do see some things there. You know, with Aston Martin, may not be their time right now, but definitely they do. There's always opportunity there. I do think they could do it. You know, there's always upsets that happens. There's always surprises that happens. You never can underestimate people. But you know, Andrew Newey, you know him and coming there, man, is something to look at. So yeah, man, I'm very excited. You know, waiting to look forward to seeing this and all that. You know, we got some people here. You know, shouting you out over here, Edwin. You know, we got Lexus coming in saying Cadillac up next year, and then yeah, we got Stanley here saying only those eyebrows and more downforce than some teams. Yeah, man, these people are doing it, man. But yeah, going back to it, what do you think, Edwin? I did have some questions for you here before I get to a little bit some more sponsors over here. How do you think with all these external factors, you know, qualifying, pit strategy, tire warm-ups could like tip the balance in each team's favor? What do you think of all these? Because these are very much key cogs in how to winning a race and, you know, especially doing it together as a team.
Look, what we saw in Brazil 2024 with Alpine, a back runner team, ending up in second and third position was something beautiful. So when I hear that there's rain at any race, it's something that I think everybody should be tuning into. And I think even the most amateur fans would have a lot of fun looking at those types of races because you can have teams like Sauber who are consistently ranking at the very end. You're going to have teams like Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull. They're going to be dropping back. At the end of the day, when it rains in any race, it's up to the driver to get that car across the finish line. We saw Max Verstappen go from 17th on the grid to first place in Brazil 2024. It's one of my
that.
This year, Brazil 2025, Max Verstappen started in 19th position and he ended up third on the podium for the race. He at one point in the race was actually leading And so it's all these conditions like rain that I think any amateur Formula One fan is going to have a lot of fun watching. And I think they're going to understand not only the pit strategy, but they're going to understand that when you race in the rain, it is up to the driver, and it is no longer the car's team that is going to be able to perform. You have good teams like Red Bull, McLaren. I mean, they got rocket ships. They have rocket ships that go up, they go throughout the entire racetrack. But that means nothing when you have a slippery surface and you have drivers like Max Verstappen just overtaking everybody. And we're going to say clowning on them, for lack of a better term.
I love that, man. Great answer, Edwin. Man, I really appreciate all of the answers that you're giving in, man, about, what about with Max Verstappen and all these racers, especially how to handle it with rain, how to handle it with care, how these drivers are going to do it, man. I think that's absolutely true. I really do believe that it's going to be really huge for all of these drivers to, keep their thing, keep whatever they're doing. Is where do they need to make some changes? Where do they need to make, specific turns, specific pit strategy, stops, makes, goes, all that. Those are going to be really important and key in order to winning at Formula One. Like you said, Max Verstappen, we could be 18th, we could be over here, but then we know he ended up finishing third at the podium. See, it's never say never. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. Not everything's going to be fine and dandy all the time, but it's how you're going to be, how you finish. All right, Edwin, before we get to more Formula One, I wanted to mention a little bit more sponsors before we get ongoing. Right here, I'd like to mention Ibnaez, Wahid. He's a broker associate, realtor at Berkshire Hathaway, HomeServices, Elite Real Estate. You guys can reach him out at 510-329-3927. And also his office number at 916-667-3465. IBOhomes at gmail.com. You can reach him also by email. Serving the Bay Area in Greater Sacramento. And also I'd like to mention Mohammed Shiraan. He's LawPro Legal Services, evictions, disputes, 3-day and 30-day notices. He does residential, he does commercial, he does mobile, and he does home parks. You can reach him out at 916-709-5518, Mshiraan at yahoo.com. Also like to mention another good friend of mine right before we get back on more Formula One talk with Edwin. Blaise Stanfield-Ellison is a realtor in Terra Real Estate Services, a Berkshire Hathaway affiliate specializing in residential real estate across the Bay Area, helping clients buy, sell, and invest with confidence, care, and local expertise. Blaise's phone number, you can reach him out at 510-364-7083. And one more before we get the show on the road with Edwin again. Rallysport Engineering, Subaru Repair Specialist, free estimates. 2015 Harbor Boulevard in Costa Mesa, California. You can call them at 949-548-0978. You can reach them out at www.subarurepair.com. Once again, that's www.subarurepair.com. All right. And we do have a question here whenever you are ready, Edwin. Sorry about that. My apologies.
No, it's all good.
All right. Whenever you're ready, we do have a question here right now that's been waiting for some time. From Stanley Mena, our good friend. With all the young talent coming in, who do you think will be the next breakout star? I know we did mention about some stars in the past, a few minutes, like about 10 minutes ago, but Stanley wants to know. Stanley has. Stanley Mena, yep.
That's a good question. Look, you have obviously the junior teams that feed into the major teams. So you have Williams for Mercedes, you have Visa Cash App for Red Bull. Dude, when I look at the junior teams, and I think that this person's very slept on, okay? Gabriel Bortoleto from the Sauber Stake F1 team. People are looking at Isaac Hajar for the Visa Cash App Red Bull, that he's going to be a good star with Red Bull. I completely agree. But when I look at the stuff that Gabriel Bortoleto has been able to produce with Sauber and the positions that he's been able to gain over Nico Hülkenberg and been able to actually finish in top 10 positions in a Sauber, I mean, for people who aren't too sure or don't understand, Sauber is one of the worst teams in Formula One. And Gabriel Bortoleto is consistently finishing in good positions above Nico Hülkenberg. Now, Nico Hülkenberg, obviously, he got his podium there earlier this year. It had been over 200 races without him doing it. But if people aren't looking at Gabby Bortoleto, I think they're not following Formula One truly for the racecraft that it is. Obviously, we also have people with a lot of money like Oliver Behrman, who's currently racing for Haas F1 team. And Oliver Behrman, a good guy, but I think him going into Ferrari is maybe going to destroy his dreams the way Ferrari has destroyed the dreams for Charles Leclerc. I really like Ollie Behrman.
No.
He's probably my second favorite rookie F1 driver. Gabriel Bortoleto being the first one. But the one that is really almost breaking my heart a little bit to see that he's not performing at the level that I would want him to be performing at is Liam Lawson. You have Liam Lawson for Visa Cash App Red Bull right now, who is consistently being out-qualified, outperformed, outraced. Isaac Hajar is beating Liam Lawson in every other category. And obviously right now we have the issue, right? We have the Red Bull team, which we know is going to be next year, 2026, is going to be Max Verstappen and Isaac Hajar. That's settled, right? And we obviously know that we have one person already settled for Visa Cash App Red Bull, and we have Yuki Tsunoda and Liam Lawson, and they're battling it out. And if the seat does not go to Liam Lawson, I think we're going to be making a pretty big mistake, and I would really hope that Red Bull, especially Helmut Marko, looks at the team and understands Liam Lawson is the guy for the future.
There we go. Stanley, you heard it.
Oh.
Liam Lawson. And then also Gabriel, or what was his name?
Gabriel Bortoleto.
Gabriel
He's
Bortoleto.
a
That's the guy.
Brazilian driver.
Driver. There we go. Keep an eye on him, Stanley. And this is some things, you learn from a Formula One enthusiast, man. So keep it coming, man. Yeah, I definitely, cannot wait to see that, man. It's gonna be pretty cool. It's gonna be pretty interesting, especially definitely, about these experiences going on with F1 and especially all, everything that they throw into it. So this is gonna be pretty interesting. Whatever goes along, with Formula One, we're gonna see with all these upcoming stars, all these experienced drivers. It's going to be something. It's going to be something to see. We're all going to be looking forward to it. We're all going to be looking to see, because this is not just one race. This is, many races that goes on. We're going to have in Abu Dhabi, this all over the world, this Dubai, that they're going to deal with. So, before we do all that, we're going to do everything that gets them all taken care of and everything. So what do you think, Edwin, of the intra-team dynamics, especially with the one that everybody wants to talk about, especially at McLaren between Norris and Piastri, and how other teams manage their drivers? I know you were waiting for that. What do you think?
Oh, God. What do you think? All right, look, dude.
The intra-team dynamic, brother.
I mean, we're talking about papaya rules here at the end of the day. Papaya rules, bro. Look, that's something I've never understood. Okay, you have people like Sebastian Vettel battling it out with I'm forgetting his name right now, and I apologize for it. Okay, but you have people like Sebastian Vettel, Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton. Do you think that any of them, Fernando Alonso, do you think any of them got to where they were with team orders? You think that any of them are world champions because they were nice and they were trying to help out their teammate, or they were trying to give them a tow? No, right? So we have McLaren, who, for whatever reason, instituted these papaya rules earlier in the year with Oscar Piastri. And we have Oscar actually, maybe be it an experience thing or something else, actually listened to those rules. It's something that I can't get through my head, right? Because the whole point of Formula One is to actually win, right? And so if you want to win a race, I think just like in life, you understand you got to do some things that are sometimes not all that right. Sometimes you have to disregard orders. Sometimes you have to cut corners. Sometimes you have to drive in your manner to make sure that you get across the finish line and onto the podium. And that's something that we can't fault the drivers for. I mean, we're in Formula One, right? We're racing. At the end of the day, it's a race. Okay. And to institute a team order like, hey, give back the position to this person. Hey, we had a slow pit stop over here, so can you please give Lando Norris back the position? I like Lando Norris, but I don't think that's how you win races. And I think if Lando Norris ends up being the world champion, at least a little part of him is going to have to recognize, hey, I won the world championship with papaya rules, something no other driver has really done.
There we go, man. As you heard it, that's the way with our intra-team dynamics, especially with Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. Everyone's talking about, Lando with his experience with McLaren. He's going to be the eye to watch here at Formula One and be the one, everyone's going to be looking at. So keep an eye on him, guys. I think all of us are going to be looking at McLaren and, Mercedes and Ferrari, and including Red Bull. We got Max Verstappen. We got all these. So these are going to be the eyes to keep on, guys. They're going to be the center of attention for this one going down in Vegas this upcoming weekend. We got another question from Stanley Mena. Do you think Piastri has the potential to become the team leader down the line, or will it always be Lando's team? What do you think?
Look, I think at this point, we all understand McLaren is Lando Norris's team. Oscar Piastri came in to substitute a suffering Daniel Ricciardo. Okay? So if we're looking at what has been established just within the last couple of years, Zach Brown, the team principal for McLaren, saw Lando Norris grow up into McLaren and start winning races. Oscar Piastri was just a substitute. So the question is Oscar Piastri ever going to be the senior driver, the number one driver for McLaren? I would wish he would be, but he's not going to be. And I think Oscar Piastri is going to be one of those drivers that's going to bounce around a couple teams, and he's going to be able to produce very good results with those other teams. But I don't think he's going to win as many world championships as he's actually capable of winning because of the moving around. I think Mercedes is another good deal for him. We talked about maybe Leclerc going over to Mercedes. Again, George Russell is on a 1+1 deal. If he does not produce, if he can't get across the finish line ahead of Kimi Antonelli, we might see Oscar Piastri in Mercedes. Another funny thing. I'm never going to say Ferrari. For those people who don't know, Oscar Piastri grew up hating Ferrari. Or he at least never visited Ferrari.
Now he's a driver for him. I mean, no, he was. Yeah, Oscar.
Yeah. So Oscar Piastri, he's not going to go back to Alpine. I mean, with the stuff that he pulled back in, I want to say 2022.
22, yeah.
Piastri, he's not going back to Alpine, right? So I think there's a lot more room for development for Oscar, but I think that at the end of the day, if he doesn't win the world championship this year with McLaren, he's going to start shopping around for new teams. And I think another good team, aside from Mercedes, if the George Russell situation doesn't work out, is Aston Martin. We have Fernando Alonso, who is 40-plus years old at this point, right? He's one of the oldest drivers on the grid. And all he wants to do is get Aston Martin into a good position for them to start winning races again. So I think Oscar Piastri moving over to Aston Martin is also another good move for him. Not only is it going to help him with his development, but he's going to eventually end up on a team that, with the proper guidance from Adrian Newey, is going to start winning races again. And we all know it's not a secret that Lance Stroll is not a very popular driver with the team. So if Oscar Piastri is looking for that coveted number one position, the easiest team to do it, which will maybe be fighting for world championships in the future, Aston Martin.
I agree. I think that's what, Anise was reiterating with Adrian Newey and his team with Aston Martin earlier, as he commented. I think they are going to be upcoming, like you said, and mentioned in the figures. That's the team that's going to be looking at, is that Carguru is going to be Aston Martin. We do have another question from Stanley Mena, but do you think McLaren can realistically challenge for a constructor's title in the next 1 to 2 seasons? What do you think, man? Stanley's coming with all these questions. What do you think?
So how about this?
What do you think?
McLaren was the Constructors' champion last year. They're Constructors' champions this year. 2026 is a completely new ballgame. We have new regulations. We have Cadillac coming in. We have Audi coming in. All right.
Yep.
We have
Cadillac is coming in next year. Yeah.
We have people from other racing series that are actually going to be competing in Formula One. You're asking me if McLaren is going to be world champions next year, if the team is going to get another Constructors' Championship. I don't think they will. And I really hope that they do. I think it's going to be good for them, but I don't think that they're going to be Constructors' Champions again. They might have another World Drivers' Championship, but they're not going to have a Constructors' Championship. We're seeing Red Bull have phenomenal form. You have Red Bull, who has produced a car that in the beginning of the year was lackluster, in the middle of the year was just MIA, and now you have a Red Bull team that just within the last couple races, I mean, you've seen Max Verstappen go P1 in Texas. You've seen Max Verstappen go podium finishes in every single race after the summer break. That's something unheard of. Before the summer break, Max Verstappen was gone. He was somebody that we all ruled out. We said Oscar Piastri is going to be the world champion this year, and out of nowhere comes Lando Norris. I don't. I don't see it. I don't see McLaren having that stability, that consistency that Red Bull has had for a very long time. And I think if we really look down to the stats of it, Red Bull has been the same. And I think Red Bull will challenge for the Constructors' Championship. And if it's not Red Bull, it'll probably be Ferrari. But
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
that's what I think so too. I definitely agree with you on that with Edwin. Further construction titles, it all depends on where where they're gonna land, what they're gonna do, and it's really gonna change within the next few. Like you said, in 2026, it's a whole new ball game.
a whole
You
new
got a
ball
whole
game.
ball game with Cadillac coming in, these new drivers, and what's gonna happen, who's gonna be shopping for new teams. There's gonna be free agents all over the place. We don't know who's gonna go where, who's gonna go what, where they can switch on different teams. They can, getting new contracts, getting new deals. They're gonna do whatever it's best possible for themselves to find the best possible team in order for them to win. Okay. Edwin, before we wrap things up on a next topic about this, I'm going to mention the last few sponsors before we get going, and then we'll wrap things up about everything else. I know there's so much more to talk about, but I know you got some things going on too, so we'll get things going. All right. Rallysport, Auto Spa, Premium Subaru Detailing, Interior, Exterior, Clay Bar. Book now at 949-691-6239. Service at rallyautospa.com. You can also reach them out at SubiGarage and Auto Sales. And they do have quality used Subarus, clean titles, great deals. Call them at 949-548-0987. And you can reach out to Raul, rseraul@gmail.com. And, they will help you out with any services that you guys need. And also reaching out to Sabrina Bucksh, turning dreams into reality, one event at a time. Let Events by Sabrina bring the magic to your next celebration. You can reach her out at 707-290-3595, Sabrina Bucksh86@gmail.com. She brings the fairy godmother experience. Hashtag Events by Sabrina. She does Bay Area and also Sacramento and all over wherever you need her. She's also been out of the state as well. So if you guys need anything, wedding planning, anything, you can reach out to her. She will help out. Also, wanted to mention Y2K Recycling. Got old electronics. Don't trash it. Recycle it. We're on a mission to keep e-waste out of landfills. Reach them out at 510-925-9919. Info at y2krecycling.com. www.y2krecycling.com. There's an e-waste solutions. And then the last few before we get going, need to ship fast and hassle-free. Visit Bomar Mail in Hayward today. Your local go-to for all mail and courier needs. Email James at bomarmail.com. Contact him at 510-760-2515. Bomar Mail, Hayward Business, shipping made easy. Support local. And the last one, but not least, I'd like to mention before we end the sponsors, DJ Red Warning, Regal Wedding Entertainment Group, which is Eric Lal, DJ and LED walls, special effects, event production, lasers, LED bar, dance floor. You can reach him out at 916-838-6679, www.djregalweddingset.com. So you guys can reach them out all to you. They're all going to be mentioned in my drop in the description box below. So please reach out to me if you guys have any needs regarding this stuff. They will help you out. Edwin, before we close things up, man, I know you talked a lot about Formula One, a lot about what we got going on and everything. I wanted to mention to you, I know you were an avid Dodgers fan. What did you think of them winning the World Series, man? That was probably one of the best Game 7s I've ever seen. They were inches away from losing it, and they stole it in that bottom of that the bottom of that ninth inning, man, when Miguel Rojas hit that dagger to tie the game.
So you know what's funny, bro, is that earlier this week I was going through some of my text messages with another friend of mine, and what's funny to me is that in that message I called this World Series in 2022, and it's something that almost baffles me because I didn't obviously I didn't think, but during that time I also was the one person who said the Dodgers are not winning in 2024. The Dodgers are a done team. They need a rebuild. They need new things. And so I got the 2024 season wrong. I got the 2025 season right. So look, I'm very proud of the Dodgers. They're world champions. Okay, I
Back to
respect that.
back.
I love that. This is coming from a little bit of. I'm also an Angels fan. You can be both at the same time, and I we
Shohei,
can
man. Shohei.
we can get into that after, bro. But look, the Dodgers this World Series relied on the long ball game, and that actually got them across the finish line. There is no issue with that. But if the Dodgers really want to be the dynasty that they've been saying that they are. Let's look at the San Francisco Giants
They
in
need one more, yeah.
2010 over to 2015. The San Francisco Giants were doing everything right. They were push bunting, they were pull bunting, they were making sure that they got the small plays right. Obviously at the time we didn't have the pitch clock, but the San Francisco Giants to me is one of those teams in 2010, 11, 12, that time frame was one of those teams that they won world championships. I think they won about 3 in that time span.
Yeah. 3 in
They
that in the
they
4-year span. Yeah.
correct. They won it in the correct time frame. Now,
No, 5-year span. Yeah, and I'm a
yeah,
Giants fan, so yeah, I would know. You were right, especially around in that. It was all that pitching, and it was Bruce Bochy the way he managed, and especially those late game hitters that we were talking about. The Panda, Edgar
yeah.
Renteria, Juan Uribe, Cody Ross, Edgar Renteria, Buster Posey, Brandon Crawford, Brandon Belt, all those heroes that we had. Madison Bumgarner in that Game 7, man. I don't forget. That's the one that cemented it for me, and I was just like, Yamamoto came in and was clutch, but what I thought of Bumgarner, what he did after Game 5, Game 1, there was, and then in Game 7, coming in and relieving that was on the road and doing, and it was okay. Yamamoto's was a Game 6, and then coming into Game 7, but man, it's very comparable. But then the edge right now is because it cemented a legacy, it cemented a dynasty. I'd have to go with. I'm a little biased. It would be towards Bumgarner there, but man, I miss those times. The Giants, I think, with Buster Posey right now, what he's doing is trying to move the team in the right direction, especially hiring. What they did, hiring from Tennessee, the manager, I forgot don't know the name off the top of my head, no experience in the MLB, but getting the shot to make some change. But you're right, man.
Just want to get this part in, okay? Look, I became an Angels fan a little later in my life. That's only because they're the hometown team, and I've been wanting to see them win a world championship again, like 2002. But what you just mentioned, Madison Bumgarner, Hunter Pence, Buster Posey, when I was a die-hard Dodger fan back in the early 2010s, those people that you just mentioned, it's almost like I have PTSD. The just shame and humiliation that Madison Bumgarner put every one of these people of the Dodgers through at that time. You had people like Adrian Gonzalez who were just striking out, were not able to produce. You had people like Matt Kemp, big names, Yasiel Puig from the Los Angeles Dodgers. They simply weren't able to produce anything. So, wow, I just want to say that was it's almost like you took out. Yeah, you just shot me with that right there.
Yeah, man, dude. Yeah, I mean, people say like I don't really catch up with baseball that much, but I do know quite some bit about it because of my days of watching it in the past, and especially now because postseason baseball is different. I actually love it. Not gonna lie, it's interesting.
Yeah.
And it's really, heart racing when it comes to those innings, and you need those outs. Like Big Papi did with the Boston Red Sox against the Yankees, and all of them, man. Like
I think that nowadays, with all of these new MLB fans coming in, I think the pitch clock has helped keep their attention span. I think MLB
I think so.
Things to keep new viewers actually focused on the screen, because I remember going to baseball games when I was growing up. I remember watching baseball games. Nobody was tuning in, and it's obviously because you have people number one with short attention spans, but the pitch clock putting a man on second base after extra innings. I think a lot of people are going to look at Rob Manfred and say that he's been terrible for MLB, but even a broken clock is right twice a day, and I think he's somebody that's at least he's left his legacy, and so good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be pretty interesting, especially with seeing it next year. But I do think, the Dodgers they're gonna three-peat, in my opinion. That's what I think is going to happen. Yeah, I think they're going to do it, man. Like they're going to have, it might be rough, maybe in the World Series who they see, people thought this World Series was going to be like the one between the Yankees last year, but what the Blue Jays almost did, man. I honestly thought the Blue Jays had it, if I'm not going to lie, but I did think they were going to win it in the bottom, and then Miguel Rojas comes out of nowhere and does it. To defeat the champs, you got to beat them. Yeah.
It says that the Dodgers, the Lakers, and the Rams are the only real LA team.
We'll see, man.
Somebody
I mean, they've
find
been
that guy
winning. There's a lot of
and
winning that's been
sure
going
that he
on.
sees he doesn't see the day of light
Yeah.
tomorrow, man. Somebody go find that guy and make sure he
And then we
understands
have
that.
Stanley or Alexis here, Shaq saying Doncic puts up a 3, and then Stanley are saying sorry, but Angels fans deserve a trophy for their emotional cardio. And then right here before we wrap it up, Edwin, I know you are a 4-time marathon finisher and endurance runner, currently training for the 50K. How do you feel about that accomplishment, and how do you feel about this one upcoming, man? Before we wrap it up, man, I really appreciate your time. I just want to say, what do you think of all this?
Yeah, no, look, not a lot of people know. I mean, people see that I'm running out there, but I don't really ever like really talk about my aspirations, my goals. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm training. I've been in a pretty good position right now. Look, last year at this time, I was 30 pounds heavier than what I'm at right now, and
Wow.
maybe I don't show it, or maybe it's my body composition, but I've lost about 30 pounds since then. I'm very happy about that, and so by the end of this year, hopefully within the next 2 months, I want to do something that I've never done in my life. I want to do something that's seriously going to test me to the core of my very human existence. I've done 4 marathons. I'm very proud of finishing 4 marathons. But at this point, I want to do something that's a little bit harder. I'm going for a 50-kilometer ultra marathon. I'm trying to finish that hopefully within, let's say, like a 7 or 8 hour period. Um, I'm training for that pretty hard. I'm sorry. Uh, yeah, and just talking about it right now is getting me emotional because
I know, man.
I know
That's
how
something
hard it
big.
is to train for a marathon. I know how hard it is to actually finish a marathon. I know the pain that it is that you feel the day after the marathon, just how shot your legs feel. So for me to be doing what I'm doing right now, the ultra marathon, I think it's knock on wood, it's going to be challenging, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm very
You
excited for that. So
you got this, man. I'm very proud of you. Listen, everyone, all your friends, your family should be very proud of you. All that hard work, man. That stuff is not easy to do. Running a marathon, doing it, especially I know you did it here in San Francisco. I know you want to mention out Sean, that you beat him out, Sean Rutledge. Sean Rutledge, I know you're in here, man. We love you, Sean. Shaq, Mumtaz, his friend and everyone, all you guys, Stanley, Alexis, So like shout out, I know you and Sean, you guys have done it before too. And like, that's such a big accomplishment. Those are not easy to do. And that's, you're gonna reach that goal, man. Before, I want to say you're very proud of you, all the work you did, all the hard work you did in your life. Everything you do, you're gonna put your mind towards something and you're gonna make it happen. That's all I always believe in. Attain your goal. Don't let anything stop in your way. Just believe in God, and everything's gonna work your way, my man. Edwin, I really appreciate you, my man. Let's call it a night. This was really good. I was almost an hour. We went more longer than we expected. You have a great rest of your night, man. We will catch up soon. Whenever I'm out there, when I'm with Shaq and everyone, we all got to catch up. We all got to do something, man. You know,
Phil, thanks for having me on the show. Happy to be here, bro. I really
of cou-
and
of
again, props
course.
to Sean. Who ran a very good marathon, but
Yeah.
I'm looking
Props
forward
to
to
you,
one
Sean.
more.
Yeah. Shout out. We're giving you a shout out. No one's clowning you here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Stanley says, congrats on that. Seriously, running 5 marathons and now taking on a 50K is incredible. The level of consistency and discipline is inspiring. Best of luck on the next one. Shout out, Stanley. Thank you, man. At this
Stanley,
point, your legs probably have their own zip code.
I would
Probably
hope so.
do. And then Alexis says, arigato. There you go. There
Somebody
you
got to
go.
know.
Yeah. All right, Edwin. We're gonna end it here. I'm gonna put the last intro in, and you have a great rest of your night, my guy. Everyone, thank you for whoever tuned in. Supporting the channel, supporting the pod, supporting the business, everything. You guys all have a great rest of your night, and take care. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anytime, man.